Hey, everybody. So thank you so much for joining along this evening. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. There we go. So, guys, thank you so much for following along on the show. I do appreciate everybody that's watching. You know, again, I am eternally grateful for anybody and everybody that reacts and comments on the show and follows along. It's just helping me grow and develop. Big shout out to my own wife for putting up for my crap and doing this. I know it takes up a lot of time consuming efforts, and she has to work a little bit harder to do a lot more things. But again, I'm lucky that I have somebody like her in my life that kind of helps me find my passion. So I am a blessed man on that front, and my kiddos too as well. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are awesome. So first, let's start out by saying let's get all the particulars out of the way. If this is your first time watching us live, we do stream on YouTube, guys. So if you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe button. You can check us out there on our YouTube page at www.youtube.com/made from scratch broadcast. So type that in. You'll be able to find us on YouTube, and that is a Made from Scratch broadcast page there. You can, our channel. Again, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the notification button as well. It'll also give you notifications whenever we do go live and drop new content there. Drop your comments in there. We would love to interact with you guys on YouTube. So thank you so much there if you're watching. Then we're also streaming live on Facebook, and you can catch us on our Facebook page of the same name at Made from Scratch Broadcast. So, or Made from Scratch Podcast, I believe it is, on YouTube. I'm sorry about that. So you can go check it out there. We are streaming live. You can drop it in the comments. I'm streaming on my Facebook profile as well. So if you're connected with me there, you'll also see it on my profile page. So drop a comment, say hello, drop a question if you have something to comment, anything. So thank you so much, guys, if you're watching on Facebook. And then we're also streaming on Twitter via Periscope. And there you can follow us at MFSB Live on Twitter. Drop your comments there as well, guys. We do appreciate anybody and everybody that watches on Twitter. Just trying to show Twitter a little bit more love. I need to work on getting and contacting a lot more people on Twitter. So thank you so much, Twitter family, if you're watching there. And of course, guys, if you're watching on Instagram. So Instagram, we do something a little bit different, and that is at Made from Scratch Broadcast on Instagram. You get to see back behind the scenes of what I'm actually doing while I'm hosting the show, all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, me from a different angle. I mean, I don't know if that interests you, but it's only a one-way conversation between you, me, and Instagram. So sorry about that, folks. And then we're also streaming live on LinkedIn. So guys, if you're watching on LinkedIn, do us a favor. You can follow me there at Gabriel E. Leal on LinkedIn on my profile page there. Connect with me, drop a direct message. Always appreciative of anybody and everybody that wants to just drop in and say hello. I always try to connect, and I always try to reply to all the comments that I get. So thank you so much, guys. If you're watching here, we're already getting comments here. So thank you, my friend, so much for watching. Do appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get started with this evening's guest. So, she is a very interesting person. And one of the things that kind of threw me aback when we first connected was the fact that she's in the same neck of the woods that I am. That was kind of one of the most thrilling things that I like about making these connections is when I find out I have people that I'm connected to professionally and they're in the same proximity as me. So at some point I can be able to maybe go offline, meet people, do these sort of things. So this is awesome. So, she's been, one of the things that I want to talk about with her was the fact that she spent, 25 years in operations and customer service. So she was working her way through administrative support to the director and the VP level. Whenever I think she spent like 15 years leading operations for that company before she decided to jump out on her own and start her own company, helping CEOs, inbox and growing and developing and doing that thing. So she's been married for 16 years, has a 9-year-old daughter, and she is Christian service minded, which I like as well. So, guys, can you please do me a favor and welcome my guest for this evening, Elizabeth Westbrook, to the show. Hey, Elizabeth.
How are you? How are you doing?
I am doing awesome. So we're getting people already saying hello. So yeah, no problem, David. David's a regular watcher, and then Maureen Wixon. Thank you, Maureen, so much. Appreciate the support. So LinkedIn family, you're awesome. You guys rock. And again, so happy. So let's get started. And one of the first things that I usually ask everybody that comes on is to kind of tell me a little bit more about yourself. I do like to give a brief intro, but kind of walk me through how you kind of started the journey in wanting to become an entrepreneur and starting your own business. So kind of walk me a little bit through that.
Sure. Well, you're right. I started in operations 25 years ago and worked my way up the ladder. I spent about 10 years as a director of operations and then another 9 as VP of operations.
Yeah.
And, then the company that I had built was purchased. When you build a great company and you build a huge client base, people want to purchase you for your client base. So that's what happened. And all of the officers of the company were let go during that transition, which was expected. Wasn't a bad thing. It was probably a good thing.
Yeah.
And I just decided to take a little time off, and I decided to go through some coaching and really assess what it was I wanted out of life, what it was I wanted out of my job. I loved what I was doing, but I didn't really feel an urgency to go commit elsewhere. So I started a 90-day coaching program after I took about 90 days off and relaxed and enjoyed my family and spent time at home, because when you're going through an acquisition, you have no time at home.
Right.
None for 2 years. But through the coaching experience, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what my true goals were, what was in my heart, and who I wanted to be for people, what it was I wanted to do, what my skills were. And I met a lot of awesome people in that program, and I decided I wanted to stay in touch with them. So we started connecting over on LinkedIn. And that was how I kind of got started back on LinkedIn in the fall of 2019.
Yeah.
Hi, Maureen. Thank you. And, it built from there. That's how I started getting involved in that whole community. I started noticing all the great stuff folks had out there and what they were offering, and I wanted to give back. And that pivoted dovetailed really, really well with me starting my own firm and getting my name out there and building a brand and getting people to know who I was.
Yeah. And again, connecting on that platform has been such a blessing for me. I know I've seen you post comments as well that it has been a real game changer for a lot of people. And one of the things that kind of resonated with me the first time that I was getting connected with a lot of people on LinkedIn and I got connected with you. You had posted a video about being vulnerable and talking about what it was like to be scared and why you came to LinkedIn and then, we were all essentially lost souls looking for, an answer. So, what was one of the things that for you, whenever you were, again, starting your own journey on LinkedIn, what was one of the things that kind of, not one of the things, who were some of the people that kind of drew you, who you resonated, who you saw on LinkedIn and go, wow, I love their message. I love what they share. It kind of inspired you a little bit to go above and beyond, start posting videos and making posts and sharing your statuses and that sort of thing. So did you have anybody in mind who was like really kind of targeted that they said, you know what, I love what they do?
Yeah, Gifford Thomas was one of my first favorites. He does leadership first, and I think he just does a phenomenal job with that hashtag. Then I saw Russ Johns out there. I thought he was pretty great. I started watching his live show and got kind of hooked. Um, I found such a community there really fast. Sam Downs,
Yeah,
I think she's phenomenal. I didn't find Shay Rowbottom for months, but once I did, I was like, Eureka!
right.
Amazing. I started watching Heather Monahan.
Yes.
I loved her story. I loved how she pulled herself out of getting fired from corporate America and turned it into just this huge catapult for herself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get enough. And there were people also that were just pouring out, like Brian Golod. People that were pouring out free material to help you in your job search, or they were giving you 8 steps to building your own brand for nothing, 0 cost. And here I was starting out on my own as an entrepreneur. I really hadn't done that before. I'd helped build other people's companies, but not my own. It's very different. It's very different. And I thought, God, all these people are just giving and giving and giving and giving, and I don't want to just be a taker. I need to give back. I need to give back to this community. And because I was kind of lost, I started giving back, like all these inspirational quotes.
Yeah.
Spoke to me, Mother Teresa, and I was putting those out there, and I just knew there were these other people like me who were just really meant something. But after a while, I realized, that's not my voice, and I'm not adding anything new, and people aren't learning anything new. And the only way I can bring that is to bring me. And so that's really when I did that post. It was called "Why Are You on LinkedIn?"
Yes.
Because some people were asking me, why are you not commoditizing and monetizing all your connections, and why are you not pounding home your niched message and getting people in your funnel? And I was like, that's not what I'm here. So the answer was like, why are you here? I was there to give back to a community that was giving to me. I was there to network, was there to meet people. I was there to make real relationships that mattered. Wasn't there just to monetize and commoditize everybody. Conversion rates. This wasn't my thing.
Yeah, and that's the, those are all the buzzwords that you hear. A lot of quote unquote gurus on there talking about how, you're not doing this. If you're not doing this, you're not making tons of money. You're not a closer. All these sort of things. So, that was one of the things that truly I got a lot of as well when I first started reaching out and connecting to people, was the fact that they were always waiting for some kind of pitch from me. And I would tell them, I got nothing to sell, bro. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to connect and talk and learn and understand things about myself and about you. And that's, that was, for some people, when I did connect with them, that was kind of refreshing, to not get some sort of, hey, I'm a Forex trader. Do you know what Bitcoin is? Are you into all these other things? Or, hey, would you mind if I sent you a link to this? And I didn't have any of that.
Right.
Even now, I still connect with people. I don't go and push my show on people or anything like that. If they ask what I do, okay, yes, I'll tell them, hey, I host my own live broadcast show, but I'm not here to sell anything. I don't. If there is money to be made, I believe that my higher power, my deity, will show me that path when it comes to that point. But until then, I'm here to bring conversation. I'm here to bring, again, just people, so we can talk and we can have a way to share what I like to bring about positive messages and that sort of thing. This is just my form to do that. I don't have to have a sales funnel. I don't have to have, again, hey, what's your click-through rate? What's your conversion on all your, on that'll come.
Right.
I don't have to force it. Again, if and when the opportunity presents itself, I'll approach it and I'll look at it, but it never was. And at this point, still isn't the goal. The goal is just me coming on here, being happy, and that sort of thing. So Terry Ann, pitches sell all the dang time. Yeah, so I get it. We get this a lot. And what's up, my friend Paul? What's going on? So yeah, so we get this a lot. And if you're connecting with anybody and everybody, and I'm going to tell you what, doesn't matter the platform. I don't care if you're on LinkedIn. I don't care if you're on Facebook. I don't care if you're on Twitter. You will get inundated by somebody somewhere that's going to say, hey, I got something to sell you. Nothing wrong with that. I get it. You're trying to make a living.
Yeah.
But the ones that are really good at it, the ones that get the conversion rates that close, you know what they do? They plant the seeds and they build it over time. And they sit there and they know you personally. They put in the time, they put in the effort. And then when it comes to broach that, they know how to open that channel. And again, it's a little bit easier taking it from somebody who you feel comfortable with. And I don't think you're going to, I would actually like to see the numbers on somebody who's actually have a conversion rate on people who are just dropping random messages inside of somebody's inbox.
Right. Probably none. 0.01%. Yeah, it's got to be terrible. And the amount of times that they get blocked and shut down has to be really high. I think it works. I think what you're talking about works most effectively because you start learning what problems you're solving for folks because you know them. And you're not just cramming a solution at them that they don't need or that isn't really going to take them to the next level. When you start talking to people about who or what it is that's really going to make a difference in their life, I think that's where the best action is.
Yeah.
When you're actually solving a known need, then it's very organic, it's very natural, and it's an easy solution to move into. That's an easy transition to make between people who trust each other and know each other and trust each other's intentions. Yeah,
and on top of all of these things that we're sitting here talking about, people want to have they want to be able to have these open communications. They want to be able to be vulnerable without having to feel that there's a reason behind it. I think that's what's wonderful about some of the things about LinkedIn. I know I've been able to be a little bit vulnerable and talk about my experiences and what things that I share and what kind of touch me, but without having to have this worry of this is all that they want from me. It's just sales, and sales. I get real conversation. It's probably the biggest rate of me being able to have real engagement with real people,
right?
And building, in some terms, real friendships,
sure.
And in some terms, really good relationships. So yes, I still haven't been able to find that on any other platform. So I still love the fact that LinkedIn is that sort of still place to go and find real authentic people. And not that that's not available on any other platform. I'm just telling you, I have bigger relationships formed and bigger friendships formed through that platform.
Right.
And again, I think that's why it's really wonderful. So kind of tell us a little bit more about, with your business and how you how you actually help, like say CEOs and people wanting to learn about your coaching services. How do you help them find and grow and develop themselves?
So this came about rather organically. Actually, I told you I went through the coaching program.
Yeah.
It was a 90-day program, and it was for executive level people, really trying to search for their next big thing. And it wasn't geared towards become an entrepreneur. It was really just, finding your footing and figuring out, where you're going next and that it's the right thing for you. And during the course of that process, I found myself writing down all these ideas to help the coaching company. Not in a bad way, but just because I was kind of at home and bored.
Yeah.
So as I was going through the process, I was thinking about things that could help their company deliver differently and more effectively. And when the coaching ended, they always ask, right, do you have feedback? And I got on the phone with the owner and we started chatting. And what was supposed to be a 30-minute call, turned into an hour and a half. And then it turned into probably over 12 hours in the next couple of months. And I found that I just have this innate, ability to target what it is that's going to help companies go to the next level. I've been part of strenuous growth at 3 firms, and I'm talking, my last firm was over 12,000% growth. That sounds like a crazy number, but that's what it was. And we did it very efficiently on an extremely lean staff. But I think what happens in companies the size of what I'm accustomed to working with, just under 25 million, I think a lot of times the CEOs can kind of lose touch with their customer process, with some pieces of culture. And I have a way of going in and going through as like a customer. I can interview their people in a comfortable private environment and get to the core of what it's going to take to move what really are invisible boundaries to them. They have no idea what's holding their company back, and help them create solutions that take their company to the next level. And sometimes that's a technology, and sometimes it's client service, onboarding, offboarding. Sometimes it's a communication issue. It could be software solutions. It could be a culture issue. It's really hard to say up front what it's going to be that's holding your firm back. There are a lot of different options to that. But in companies this size, I find I have a keen eye for figuring that out and helping people come up with solutions that count.
Wow. And that's, again, these are things that this is why I say, when I talk about people in a creative process, they're like, well, how am I really creative? I'm not an artist, or I'm not anything. You got to be creative to create what you just talked about. You just don't, these things just don't develop in your mind and go, oh, wow, okay, here it is. Wow, here's my manual. It just popped out of nowhere. No, you got to be creative and put these things together and make it feasible so that somebody will learn it, and they can apply it to their lives, and they can apply it to their businesses and that sort of thing. So I tell everybody, you're a creative soul. I call everybody creative souls for a reason. You got to be creative to do this. You just don't open up. Again, these things just don't happen. They don't. You don't close your eyes and the Lord drops a book in your hand and tells you how to build these things. They come up here, and you have to formulate them into a plan.
Right.
You have to put them into action, and then you have to go make them work. And that's awesome that you've done that. It's great that you're able to do this and you're able to go help people. And that, to me, that's what really counts, is that people, even with money, like CEOs, need help.
Of course.
Right?
They're just people.
They're just people like everybody else, right? You think it's because they throw the thing about money in front of it and that solves all the problems. I'm here to tell you, money does not solve all your problems, folks. That's not what's going to be able to make or break you as far as like mentally. Money is yes, money is important, but again, it does not create the happiness. You do that. You do that by being able to, again, find the purpose, find these things, find coaching. Again, people need these things. Even the most skilled life coach has a coach. They have somebody that coaches them. So we all need an outside opinion at some point to kind of help us find ourselves in accountability. So
Yeah.
and it's awesome that you're getting out there to do it. So again, one of the first things that I talked about when we first started this conversation was how we're here both locally in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about and that I wanted to bring up, and we kind of mentioned it a little bit, was about an experience with somebody else who's in this area, who's kind of pretty big on YouTube, but a lot of people do follow him on LinkedIn and that's Roger Wakefield. So Roger, if you guys don't follow Roger Wakefield, and I don't know who does it, but I don't know if he's at the 30,000 mark. I think on LinkedIn, once you reach 30,000, that's it. You have to send an invitation, and then they have to kind of invite you personally, that sort of thing. So, but he's got a big following on YouTube. So if you guys don't know who he is and his story, I believe I saw him on Russ John's. You just mentioned him a little earlier, talking about how he started his journey on YouTube. His business was in dire straits. They didn't know how they were going to operate anymore, how they were actually about to go underwater, and they needed to do something creative to get out there, right?
Yeah.
And he went out there and started doing YouTube videos. So what was your experience with him personally? That's one of the things that I always like to talk about, is taking an online relationship and taking it offline and finding out people who like what they are in real person. So kind of explain to me what Roger's like in real life.
So first, I want to give you a little background.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Yes.
So I was just starting to post on LinkedIn. I'd been posting for maybe 60 days. I haven't been on there long, about maybe 7 months at this point. But
yeah,
I was about 60 days in, and I had a plumbing problem. And I hired a plumber, and they came out and they created a bigger problem. And I said, you guys really need to fix this. And the owner of the company was like, yeah, I don't really think we need to fix that. I think the problem's with your house. And as a matter of fact, I think you need to spend 300 times more money with us and let us just come in and repipe everything in your house. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you didn't handle this tiny thing well, but you want me to let you cut through all the walls and flooring in my home, and so you can fix this much bigger thing. I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. But I was really impressed with his sales tactic. So I jumped on LinkedIn the next morning and I did this post called "Go Big or Go Home."
Yeah.
And "Go Big or Go Home" was about like, hey, whenever your client calls, like, this is always an option. Just tell them no, it's their fault, and just go bigger. Like, sell them 300% more than and your solution or whatever. I thought it was pretty phenomenal and gutsy of him. But because I explained what the background was, I had a lady, her name is Lindy from LinkedIn. She's a connection of mine. And she wrote me on the side in the direct messages, and she said, if you live in Dallas, I know a plumber. I was like, okay. And she said, actually, he's quite famous. His name is Roger Wakefield, and he's a LinkedIn and YouTube sensation. He's huge. I said, okay. And so she had Roger call me within like 2 hours. He was standing in an airport in California at the time. This was just before COVID hit, right? And he rang me up immediately and said, I'll be at your house like in 2 days. Okay. So I'm already floored at how LinkedIn is working. He comes, I snap a picture. Hey, Lincoln comes to life, right? Yeah. Roger was here for over 2 months. I had a lot of problems in my house. My house is on his YouTube channel several times over. So his name is Roger Wakefield. And he owns Texas Green Plumbing. And he's amazing. His team is amazing. Everybody in his company is amazing. I didn't even want them to leave when they left because I felt like they were my friends and I was enjoying hanging out with them. So they were here well over 2 months, and I spent well into the 5 digits with Roger. And so he got my money, right, because he was excellent at his job and because a LinkedIn person said, hey, do you know this guy who's on LinkedIn and he's fabulous? And on the flip side, Roger has gotten me to be published. He's the one who talked me into doing my first videos. He's published me in a magazine. He's gotten me to do my first television commercial, like interview thing. And he's really helped me launch what I'm trying to do with my brand, which is still in the beginning stages. But he's given me so much heartfelt advice and information, and we're just friends. I have talked to his wife through virtual handshake only because about the time we got to that point where I was going to invite him and his team over to jump in the pool and grill out.
There it is, right there.
COVID hit, and so I haven't been able to have them over and do a great party, but. Yeah, he called his path going from poop to popular. Is that not amazing?
Yes, right. And then he's got 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, so that's pretty awesome.
Yes, he does. And he was part of Video Marketing World that happened last month.
Yeah,
he was one of their speakers. He has a fabulous set. And he's actually doing some training for folks on how to do podcasts and live and YouTube and all that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And, hey, what's going on, my friend? I'm sorry, just somebody on Instagram. I kind of stream separately on Instagram, and Tim Meadows was a former guest of mine, and he was just saying hello, so I was just saying hi to him. I love it when former guests kind of interact. So, yeah, that's awesome. Again, the fact that you got to, first of all, meet somebody offline, right? Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, you had the close connection with them. And then on top of that, he's out there turning his business from where it was almost from poop to popular, like you said, where he was almost in the again, I don't want to say this, but almost in the toilet, right? And turned it around and has made it really into an advantage for him. So, guys, even the fact that right now a lot of businesses are in that same position because of COVID-19.
Yeah,
there is hope, guys. Roger's a perfect example of how you can be on the cusp of closing your business, not knowing what to do in it, and just taking a different approach. Becoming resourceful with what you can use and throwing yourself out there into the world. So yes, guys, just because your small business is hurting right now, it is, number one, not the end of the world. And number two, again, there's stories out there of people doing things and turning their businesses around and becoming successful at it. So yes, I love the fact that he's been out there and he has turned it around full 180 and is making a very, very, very good name. And again, from experience, you see what kind of services he offers. You talk about, you're talking highly about his team and what he does and how professional he is. And that kind of speaks volumes. So let's go into a little bit of another avenue that I want to talk about, which is I found pretty fascinating. And I kind of wanted to wait a little bit before we talked about it. But you found out that you were adopted and that, and you were adopted, but you found your birth parents, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So kind of walk us a little bit through that, because I always, I've heard a few stories where people spend a lot of time looking for their birth parents and they get that one opportunity, and it's where the parent says, you know what, I don't want to meet you. There was a reason. I don't want no connection. So kind of what was that experience for you when you found out who your birth parents were, and what it was like to meet them?
So this is an interesting story because I put my DNA in Ancestry about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was nothing there, and I didn't expect anything to be there. I figured, no one would send it in if they didn't want to connect, right?
Yeah, right. They'd be like, I don't want.
Right, that's probably intentional. And so, but when I walked this path in 2019 of being extremely vulnerable with learning what it was that was holding me back and what it was that things that were in my way of success, this is one of the things. It was one of the things was just this big question mark. Where did I come from? What happened? What was my story?
Yeah.
I absolutely phenomenally love my most wonderful parents in the whole world that have been amazing to me. And I have, I never had a reason to want any other parents or anything. But you have this question about your story. What's your story? What happened? And I kind of wanted to close that loop. But it was phenomenal in 2019 when I'm going through this personal transformation. God works in this way, right?
Yeah, right.
Bang!
Dang.
Both of them sent their DNA in. Both of them.
Oh.
And I sat on that for months, mostly because I just wanted to see what they were going to do with it. You know, are they going to reach out? And, after a few months, they didn't. And a friend of mine said, at their age, they really may not know how to use the system very well. And someone else said to me, well, I got my results, but I didn't know that I could go look at connections. And I was like, okay, well, there's this possibility that they've never even seen it. So I went in and I wrote each of them a very heartfelt message, just saying, I'm going to respect your space. I did an in-depth prayer over it because I was very worried about exactly what you said. And I called many friends and I asked what I should be doing and how should I do it. And I showed my letter to people. But I finally talked to a friend who's just my go-to. Her name's Melissa, for this big life stuff. And she said, look, frame it and frame it in God. If this is supposed to happen and if it can happen in a healthy way for me and for them and for my loved ones and my family, and it can be positive, welcome it into my life. And if anything negative is going to come about, close the door.
Yeah.
And that gave me the power, that prayer, that focus gave me the power to step forward because I had that faith. I had that faith that framework was going to stand. Yeah. And it has. My birth father reached out. He was beyond excited, and it's been a fabulous phone relationship because COVID hit right after that. So we have not been able to meet. And then the birth mother has not responded. She read the note. I sent her a second one at Mother's Day, and she read that, but she's not responded. And I know this is an emotional thing, and it may have nothing to do with me or nothing to do with anything ugly, but it may be hurtful to her family or a million other things. But I trust God closed that door for a reason, and He's opened the door that has healed me. It gave me that story, gave me that peace I needed.
Yeah.
It closed some things. Me and my parents have had the best conversations out of this, and it's just made our relationship so much closer, and it's just been wonderful. But that's all about faith. That's me. My faith plus my family is from my foundation.
There you go. Right. What a beautiful transition into, just also, it happened to having it happen along your journey of, again, like you said, being vulnerable, being open. Your heart was out there. It's and it's always incredible that you get through these things and you get to see how powerful you are as a person afterwards. You get to see these things about yourself that you learn that you didn't know that you that even existed there or you weren't capable of.
Right.
Because again, you sit there and you knew for months, right? You knew for months that who they were and whether or not to reach out. And it still takes strength.
Yeah.
It takes courage. It takes, the ability to say, you know what, I might get hurt doing this, but I still have to take that step because I need to. And I want to. I mean, I don't have to have justification. I just want to know: do you want to open those channels or not? And if not, okay, like you said, God closed them for a reason, I guess. But again, you have to take that. At least you took that first step. I've heard stories of people who knew who their birth parents were, but didn't even want to take that step. Didn't even, they find a bit of resentment in the fact that they know, and they go, well, if they left me, they didn't want me. Why do I care? I don't. That's not my problem. I don't want to do nothing with them. I don't. They get. And again, I think that sometimes that has to deal with certain insecurities.
Well, when
And
you're adopted, you have an insecurity that's built in because you
yeah,
feel like you were given away or maybe not wanted. But going through that journey closed that door for me. That healed me, and I realized, for my birth parents, it wasn't really their choice. They were young. The parents were in control. Their parents were in control, and making decisions that these kids didn't have a lot of control over.
yeah,
And you can find those stories. You can also find the ugly stories. But here's the thing, and I'm going to say it this way because a lot of people are going right now. They're going through what I went through last year. They're going through complete brokenness, not knowing your way, lost your job, watching the money fly out the door, not knowing where the next paycheck's going to come from, not knowing who you are anymore. Everything that you thought you were doing that mattered isn't there anymore. And all of a sudden you go, what am I? What am I doing? And what is my usefulness? And how am I making a difference?
yeah,
And when you get to that point, you find out a lot of things about yourself, and finding out this wasn't scary for me anymore because I'd already hit bottom for me. It couldn't get any worse in my mind.
right. I mean,
I had been stripped of my ego, and I had been stripped of the things that I was afraid of. I just couldn't be scared anymore. I had to step out and become something bigger than anything I'd ever become before out of that space. Either that or it was going to get to me. And I have a family, and I had things that I wanted to live for and things I wanted to do. And I simply knew I had to cure the things that had been ailing me for a really long time. And that was one of those things I had to face. When you start facing your big demons and you start figuring out who you are and what's been holding
yeah,
you back, and really that you've been in your own way the whole time,
right,
and
right,
you've really been the only thing in your way. And it may seem like other things are in your way, but you're almost letting them, and to a large degree. There are some circumstances you can't get around, but when that clicks and you start taking that kind of control and you start moving down that path in your life, that powerful, and you're going to figure it out, and you're going to have goals, and you're going to focus on your foundation, and you set your sights on exactly what it is that matters to you after you're stripped of everything else, all the peripherals, that's when some real magic happens. So that was just a path I had to walk, and that path's different for everybody. If the adoption story doesn't speak to you, you have a different story. You have a different path. You have a different monster
yeah,
that stares you in the face. And there is a lot of power in facing that. And I faced it in a time where I was very, very vulnerable,
yeah.
and a lot of good. came out of there. I just felt like I just shot up out of the rubble like Wonder Woman on the other side of that.
Right. And again, you know, you you have you have everybody says the buzzword superpower, but you do have that superpower inside of you to kind of make those kind of decisions to say, you know what, like David's saying, fear, I'm not going to let fear no longer control what the outcome of my life is.
Yeah.
I know I lived that life for a very long time, not knowing about wanting to go right or wanting out, not knowing to go share, again, myself and doing social media and all of this stuff here. None of this here would be possible if I had still let fear control what I do. So I made a conscious choice, kind of like everybody has to at that critical point in life and it always seems to happen when we're at our lowest.
Mm-hmm.
You either teeter into complete utter darkness and say, you know what, I just give up, or
Right.
you build the strength to say, you know what, I'm done with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not letting fear, I'm not letting nothing else control me. So yes, again, when we have situations kind of like, and like you were saying, everybody has their own demon, everybody has their own situation, but when we have the opportunity to face forward, we have to consciously make that choice at that moment in our lives. What am I going to do now?
Right.
What am I going to do? What is it again? And people say, you know what, this decision would be easier if I had blank. If I had money, this decision would be easier. Or if I had, blank health. If I had my health, right? No, it's not.
No,
These are all altruistic things that we just, say, yeah, these will solve my problems. It's not.
they don't.
They don't. And again,
It's still there because it's here. It's here.
yes, and that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do, is to wake up every morning in the mirror and look back at yourself and go, you know what, I'm the problem. Because again, there's a lot of people who look for blame in other things, like you said, there's circumstances. But I've always been told, somebody somewhere else is dealing with the same set of circumstances and they're winning.
Yeah.
They're turning it around. So
if you have, I watched a story of some lady. She was like a Olympic athlete, just this phenomenal athlete, and I don't remember exactly what happened to her. She in a car wreck or she got hit by a car or something, but she became like quadriplegic, where her whole life had been built on her health and her body, and she had to figure out what to do. But she turned her entire life around. She's as successful now as she was, at being an Olympian,
yeah,
because she elected to move past her circumstances, and she figured out how to do it because that's the spirit she had inside of her, that moved her into that space, and she was not going to let something get to her, and that's where I got last year, and that's where a lot of people are going to be getting, right now.
yeah.
Life is hitting life's hitting hard.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, they're in that dark circle right now. They're in that dark spot, trying to just looking for that glimmer of light, and just wanting to find that, looking for that one string of hope.
You have to define what you're fighting for. What are you fighting for?
Right. And again, people always, I always tell people there's, no matter the situation, there's always a silver lining in just about every situation, even in death. People go, how do you see a silver lining in death? I said, well, you know what? In death, number one, here's the thing: we're all going to die. I know that. You know that. We all have we have a shelf life. Everybody does. I don't know anybody not even Jesus had the ability as a human being in human form to live forever.
Amen.
Now, you know, he had to go again. He knew, but he knew his purpose, and that was here's my point. So we all know that we're all going to face that at some point in life, but the celebration in life is we get to highlight all the things and the impact and the legacies and the things that these people leave behind. We get to highlight their, the special aspect to they shared with us, and the unique part of who they were as people. And these are things that will never be seen again. They'll live on, of course, in our memories, in our hearts, and that sort of thing. But in death, again, that's what we're going to see. And plus, if you believe in what you believe in, whatever your deity is, and you're so, your faith is so strong, you're going to be taken care of, because that's what the whole word faith is about. Believing in something that's not there. And
well,
for some people,
there, but you can't.
That's for some people. That's a hard concept to understand. But I have to explain to them. Are you breathing right now? And they say yes. Okay, well, oxygen is real. Oxygen's there. You just can't see it, right? But yet here you are breathing. You're still alive, and you know these are the functions that you need to stay alive. So it's the same thing with faith.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it. You can't grab it. You can't go, oh, I have it right here. It is. It's not a tangible thing, but yet it is something that's really strong and very powerful.
It is. And it's exactly what caused me to take the very things that were causing me pain and concern and try and figure out what I was grateful for within each one.
Yeah.
And start practicing gratitude every day, even for the hard stuff. Being thankful for all of it, because it was molding me, it was shaping me, it was making me grow, and it was making me push outside of any bounds I had ever, been within before. I had to go to a new place to get out of that darkness.
Right.
And all that is just it's about intent and focus and faith and digging deep and saying, what is it that can be coming out of this that's good? That's really hard with something as huge as death, as you mentioned. That's really hard with job loss that lasts 18 months.
Yeah, right.
That's really hard when you're looking at getting kicked out on the street or not being able to feed your kids or all the things people are going through these days. And it's still possible, as hard as that is to believe. They can't take that away from you. Nobody can take that away from you. They can't take your faith. They can't take the way you think. They can't take your gratitude.
Yes. So that kind of leads me into the last question that I usually ask every single guest that I have on. And, it is dealing on the subject of what we're talking about. So whenever the book is done and written on Elizabeth Westbrook, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, and what do you want to be remembered for?
I know that I just want to help people. I've always just wanted to help people. I wanted to make people feel loved.
Yeah.
And cared for in a very authentic way. Because I think people really crave genuine human connection where they feel that someone truly looked at them and cared for them. And I want to create that space for as many people as I can while I'm here. I just want them to know they matter.
Yeah, that's a beautiful message, and sometimes it's just as simple as that. Some people, I have a wide range of answers, but again, sometimes it's the simplest answer that makes the easiest and the most beautiful description of what they want to share. So awesome! Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And then again, thank you, all the gratitude in the world for coming on the show. I do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and sharing this little forum with me. This is an opportunity for me to bring wonderful people sharing their lives and their experiences that can help connect with somebody. And again, guys, if you're not connected with Elizabeth, connect with her on LinkedIn. Send her a direct message. Tell her that I sent you. Just drop a small little nice comment in there. Don't spam her with sales calls and all this other stuff. I don't want to be associated with that. But again, just drop her a nice comment and say, hey, I saw you on the show with Gabriel, and I know what you're talking about. And maybe something nice will good conversation, a relationship, or something like that might form out of it. So thank you so much, Elizabeth, again for coming on the show. I am always appreciative of every single one of my guests, and again, all the gratitude in the world. And going forward, is there any thing that you want to share as far as like how people can reach you or your business or anything like that you want to talk about real quick?
No, on LinkedIn, I'm just Elizabeth Westbrook. I'm in Dallas, Texas, in case you're looking for which one, because I think there's about 88 of us or something. And I met Gabriel on LinkedIn. I mean, that's how this came about. And so these are genuine relationships that matter. And I just want to make a difference. So I'm glad to meet all of you. And thank you so much for participating. Thank you, Gabriel, for letting me on.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. That means so much. So, guys, thank you, David Pollock. Thank you, Jonathan Kimbrough. Thank you so much for commenting and collecting. Paul Vasquez, Maureen Wixon, David Mumford. All you guys are special. You mean the world to me. So, whoo, awesome show. And it's already been an hour, and we don't even know it goes by so fast. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, following along. Guys, I'm going to drop in this episode on Instagram afterwards. And again, I'll send you the link for YouTube so you can share it. And everybody, again, thank you so much for watching and commenting and being an interactive part of the show. So I'll be back tomorrow night, 7:00, everybody, Central Standard Time. Same bat time, same bat channel. You know where we'll be. And of course, my guest tomorrow, I'll kind of share that with you guys tomorrow. Couple issues going on, but again, that's the thing about live streaming. So much. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you guys for your time. I will see you guys tomorrow evening, 7:00. Stay safe, stay cautious, still practice good social distancing, guys. We'll all get through this together. Even though things are opening up and things are getting out there, just be cautious. It's still a little bit of a crazy world out there, and this thing is still out there. And let's just try to keep it as squashed down and spreading and from spreading again as much as possible. So Thank you guys. Stay safe, stay blessed. I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.